Hello, all of you risk takers and truth seekers to podcast Life the Battlefield. As you can hear it, my voice is made for today podcast. I mean, every day. It is me and the second guy there. It's other guys other side, you know. He's a very well-rewarded MC and public speaker. His name is Nathan Cassar. Nathan, welcome to the secret location. Nathan, it's all about you today.
Oh, yeah, I'm so not used to that because like my whole job is like making it not about me. So it's I feel very humbled and appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.
Okay, now I don't accept this one. I want every secret today be spilled out. First of all, statistically speaking, they say 75% people are afraid to speak publicly. Doesn't matter being MC, public speaking, in school, you know, whatever it is. 25% they dare to try to do public speaking, but only 2% succeed in that quest. What separates you from this 75%?
It's a really great question. I think it stems...
Do you need a time to think?
Oh, no. I think this is anything if I've given this a lot of thought because over the years, here's the best way to put it. I used to be in that 75%. And the reason why I was in that 75% is because I know a lot of other people are in that 75%. The fear of what other people are going to think when you're in front of them. When I was a kid, I was bullied a lot. I was bullied since the age of 5. I have very vivid memories of my peers in school, in my kindergarten class, immediately somehow figuring out that I was different to the rest. The main difference came from the fact that I just cared about learning. I was able to read before the age of 3. And so I just had a thirst for knowledge that other kids, I guess, didn't at the time. And I was a bit, I guess, socially aloof, but, you know, it should never have really mattered, except my generation, my kids, my peers in my class, they just decided that wholesale, I was just different. And so because I was plagued by this, public speaking in school was the only academic thing that I ever purposely bombed. And I remember why that happened. The very first time I got up, year 3 is when they start public speaking for kids, at least back when I was a kid. And I put so much effort into it because, you know, it was the first time doing it. Okay, it's another academic thing. It's a homework thing. And my dad actually helped me with the speech. It was about... My dad helped me with it. Yeah.
Thank you to Dad.
Yeah, so my father, Sam, he's in industrial supplies. He's been in the engineering and manufacturing industry for many, many years since, you know, sort of typical Gen X, one job, always in the same industry, and I got a great respect for that. And he taught me about, and like, true to his form, did help me with a speech named Machines. And the whole thing was about different types of machines, how machines work, how they interact with our society. Obviously, I'm being a little bit more colorful with my academia, but certainly as a kid, it was all about that, right? Anyway.
You didn't have a choice, man.
Well, no, because it's a class thing. You have to, right? Yeah, you have to. So I get up, I do this speech, and I realized as soon as I got up, it's funny because the first time they had two tiers. So you do the class one, and then the idea was they get to the whole year, the 3-4, and that would actually feed you into the public speaking competitions. That's how they do it in primary schools.
Oh, okay.
In high school, it's all independent. You independently will be brought to the competition, and then you, on your own enterprise, decide if you want to do better or not. Anyway, so I do really well in my class because I guess I was able to overcome all that, but I didn't overthink it. I get to the 3-4 where all the classes, there's about 3 or 4 classes in the hall, and I remember it vividly like it happened yesterday. As soon as I got up there, I had that stage fright, I had that fear, but there was more than that. I had all of the thoughts run through my mind of all the things that I imagined that the kids were talking to me about, all the bullying just like a wave. So you know what I did? The very only time in my life I purposely bombed something in school. I looked down like this. I knew exactly that if I did as poorly as possible, I would never have to get up in front of everyone ever again. And I did that. I did the whole speech like this. Machines are this, lawnmowers this, whatever. And I kid you not, as soon as I sat down, I felt so ashamed of myself that I'd given in to that. But yet, it still was that shame that I felt for myself of not applying myself academically was still not as much as the fear that I'd had if I'd put myself out there to the jeers of my peers. Fast forward to when I was in grade 6, I'd done the same thing, except now this time I hadn't got into the higher level. I purposely bombed it when I was in the class level every single year. Did the same thing in year 6. Now, one of my main bullies in school was actually also in primary school, was also part of my friend group, and I don't know, don't explain me how that works, but anyway.
Okay. Hold on, that's good questions.
Yeah, I don't know how that worked, but yeah, I know, right? But it was very complex. Like I wanted to obviously have friends, but the same, I don't know, it was very, you know. Anyway, so he wasn't a friend of mine, I would say, but he was friends with the other friends in the groups. It's just how it was. Anyway, he was always really good at the public speaking. He was always renowned for it.
Did you hate him?
I never hated him. I would, and I mean this, probably thinking, come on, like you hated people. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't hate him. My parents.
Thank you for saying that.
Of course, no, my parents grew me up in a way that said, you know, don't hate. Learn to understand why people are doing certain things. Dislike the behavior. Don't hate the individual. And so this was how I felt about him. But I really hated the fact that he was renowned for it and loved and revered when I knew that he'd been one of my personal thorns in my side since the age of 5. And I turned to since the age of 5.
Oh, age of 5, okay.
So I turned to my best mate.
That's a long time. Sorry, Nathan.
No, well, thank you.
I just love your honesty, man. Just please, yeah.
No, well, look, it's a big part of what happened later in my life, but certainly what happened was like I turned to my best mate, love him to bits, and we're still very, very good friends today, very, very tight friends. And he knows, and I never let him down about this. I said I'll be telling the story at his wedding one day as well. He said, I turned to him and I said, you know what, I'm going to be better than that one day. I'm going to be better than him. I'm going to be doing things. As soon as I get to high school, I'm going to be able to talk in front of thousands of people. And he goes, what? You? As if, and then turned away. So this was the very first moment of my life where I forgave him for it. We've moved on. It's great. We're good friends. But this was the very first time in my life where I was told specifically by someone that I trusted, no, you can't do that. You have no chance. And I was like, I'm going to ride that wave of inspiration to prove you wrong for the rest of my life. As soon as I got to the first day of high school, the teacher, Samantha Dennis, love her to bits from Elderslie High School, shout out to her. She was running the program, she still does today, and got up on the assembly, said, hey, I'm looking for people. I immediately at that recess went to her door at the drama room that she has and said, I want to be one of your next public speakers. And she trained me in everything. And it was a hustle. I was moving from that 75% of people who had all these fears and anxieties going into that, wanting to move into that 23% that you mentioned.
Yes, yeah.
And so it was about then trying to discard, and I knew by doing that immediately I was making myself a target. I still dealt with all the different bullying that I had, the same thing, but more intense perhaps because, high schoolers now, so you got new words to use. But certainly I put all of that aside for the benefit of knowing that one day this was my dream to be able to talk in front of people, to be able to use this as a vehicle to overcome the one thing, which was public shame and humiliation that I felt when thinking that other people were saying things about me. And so they were.
You know what? Just as you speaking about your behavior, as you speaking about your personal life experience, I'm reliving my own one. So thank you, because it takes a lot of courage to share these things. You know what I mean? Everybody loves to talk about how successful they are, how great they are.
Yeah.
But today we have a Nathan Cassar. Guys, I'm gonna put his details down in the comments in the comment section below. So feel free to visit him. But this is the story, how you become successful. So you move from 75% to 23%, but how did you become those 2%?
So that then enter cruise ships. So
okay, I love cruise ships. Maybe not one, but it must be funny or something.
And look, I'll tell you, they changed my life, and it's weird. Most people never would say, "Oh, a cruise ship changed my life." Well, apart from the people that I met when I was working on them, that met their forever loves and stuff, which was always adorable. I love that. I still hear stories about that today, and I love it so much.
Yes.
So here I am now. I'm moving from a 12, 13, 14-year-old. I've moved from, I'm starting to come into myself and understand that I have this passion to want to talk in front of people. Prepared speech, obviously very different than in headline entertainment. But I just didn't know that world. So I go on the Pacific Sun, fortunately no longer with us anymore. They've scuttled that ship, I think, now.
Okay.
And but it was known as Australia's ship. It was the burgeoning time around 2007, the burgeoning time of the cruise industry. It was beginning to come really alive in Australia. My parents take me on my very first cruise. Me and my brother.
Just a
Just a guest, yeah,
As a
just
guest,
for
right?
fun,
Okay.
yeah. And so we were there with a
Okay,
whole
that's-
bunch of my neighbors at the time. So there's about, I think, 12 of us or something.
Yeah.
We had a 7-day cruise to Nemea, Isle of Pines, and I think that was the two. Yeah, I can't remember. I think there was another one. But anyway, point is, as soon as I get on board, I'm isolated from all of that junk that is happening at school. All the bullies, everyone that knows me, everyone that doesn't know me, all of that is gone.
So bullies never actually stopped, right?
No, and never did until I
Okay.
ended until, and I would even argue that I dealt with a lot of tall poppy stuff even when I started working on cruise ships as well.
Yeah.
But certainly, I've never wanted that to ever let me down. Yes, certainly, I've had my hard days. I've had days where I've had to really dig into my network. But certainly, I've always been supported. Always was proactive about the way I felt. But more importantly, it was always inspiration to continue. But everyone, it was always like I translated as them telling me no, I'm going to respond by telling myself yes. So when I got onto this cruise, 7 days, complete bliss, away from people, away from all the aggressors, I could be whoever I wanted to be. But I also discovered one extra thing. I had met some great people in there, some great friendships, really unlocked parts of myself. But the really cool thing that I learned was I was enamored by the cruise director. He came out and was just so everything I wasn't at the time. Have an ability to you move a hand and the crowd cheers, say something or say a word. Yeah, that's amazing. We feel so great. And I would feel all of this too. And it was just electrifying. And then his crew staff team had this ability to talk and to be with you and to come up with something from nothing. And it was just, I cannot even begin to describe. And so that for me, I said, I've got to do that. And same thing I said when I was in grade 6 with my mate. I've got to do that. I've got to have this exact job. I've got to make people feel this exact way that I felt, but I've got to be better at it. I've got to be better at it 100% than what I'm seeing this guy do. Anyway, so I get off the cruise. Just wanted to go on another cruise. I know I'm 14, so
Yeah, of course you it's like,
Like seven-
you're earning money and all of this, like you just can enjoy the life.
Of course, yeah, you got to be a kid, right? So off I go, and then for sort of like as time went on, I kept practicing public speaking. I got into like state awards, into regional competitions, and all that, and did debating as well. And so I never, I had lots that I was moving along in that way, but I didn't have like an entertainment sort of background until I started. Actually, my teacher, Mrs. Dennis, she inspired me to actually join her musicals as well, because she wanted me to essentially become more out of my shell. She said, look, it's great that you're doing this prepared speech, but that is a safe environment for you. I want you to be unsafe by going into being in musicals. And I said, fine. Okay, now you're really
How about
getting
now,
me.
Nathan, your dreams about cruise ships? And that's like,
Well, to be fair, yes, 100%. That was a play. And so I did 2 musicals with her. In West Side Story, I did one. Actually, no, it was one. I was in the orchestra for the second one because I couldn't go on stage anymore. But it's funny, right? So ironic. But I was Shark number 2 in West Side Story of Elderslie High School. It's like 12, 13. Can't quite remember. No, well before that. Anyway, 2009 or something. Anyway, point is, so I'm doing everything I possibly can to get myself out of my shell. My very first job, I was a paintball referee out at Camden, my hometown.
paintball referee.
Correct, yes. It was my very, very first job. And it really helped me to continue to bring me out of my shell. So I go from someone...
Interesting, yes.
Yeah, I know, right? Never had any boring jobs. So I also had hospitality. I was working in restaurants and catering and stuff, which is also great for what I do now. But the paintball job meant that I went from, I had nothing, to having to be in front of people, telling them what to do, what to say, where to be, how to keep safe, and also be a part of their recreational experience. So this was a real...
You're good. No, you're good there. I just want to go on a paintball right now because the way how you say, I don't know where to be, what to do, how to be safe, and anything else. In my head is like, I'm gonna nail you, Nathan, with my guns.
I loved when people came primed, but there was obviously that safety element too.
So you found yourself in that paintball.
I begun to. That was where
that public appearance. Contact with the.
Didn't find it on the stage of a musical, but I did find it at that sort of environment.
Do you find that's strange? You said a musical. People will say like, I find myself on a stage, meaning life, which is a theater, but you find yourself in your first job where everybody try to nail everybody with paintball guns.
I know. And it makes no sense, but it also makes every bit of sense because it was a job that is very unique, which obviously cruise ships are. And what I do now is obviously extremely unique. But it's also, I actually think that it was better because one, it put me on a train of thought. When I was getting more advanced in my public speaking in school and also with my debating background as well, it's all very improvisationally based. So the better speakers are the ones who always win in the competitions, were better in the improv sections.
Yeah.
And so that was something that I knew I had to focus on. And so doing this job, everything's improv. There's no script to being a referee. There's no script to, I mean, yeah, there's policies, but like certainly I had to make a choice of whether or not someone was being unruly enough and being disrespectful enough, I had to kick them off.
Yeah.
I had to make a choice about whether or not like what I did for the games that I did, and the way I set that up, and the energy and the vibe I brought as for that 3 hours that I had with the guests that came through. And so that then helped me, as I kept in my brain though, I want to go on another cruise. I need to be another guest. I need to go on a guest. I want to go back. Went on a cruise when I was 20 with my cousins and my brother. And I got off that ship, the same cruise, but just now as an adult.
Again, as a guest or?
As a guest again, so I was 20. And I met this girl named Vicky. She was one of the cruise staff. So one of the nights that had this captain club experience, like the people who've been on more cruises than whatever. So I went up there.
I just want to go jump in time. Yes, because I can see what's happening. Yes, please tell me.
Oh, like for me, it was so amazing to meet this girl, and she sat down with me. So I'm by myself because all my other family, they'd never been on one, so I didn't know you could bring people. So I'm just sitting there by myself. She goes, "Oh, Nathan." She recognized me from throughout the cruise. I said, "Oh, what's going on?" I said, "Oh, no one else knows." Okay, great. And I said, "Can I ask you a question?" And she goes, "Yes, of course." She says, I said, "How do I get this job?" And I'd say that, I know because a lot of people ask that, I get it, but I'm genuinely like, this is my background. I have a genuine passion to be here. I love what you do. I want to be the cruise director one day. What do I do? And to her credit, I've never been able to track her down. So if I could find her someday, I'd love to.
Vicky, we're going to track you down.
I really do. Vicky from Canada, ex-cruise staff for P&O Australia. She said she sat down the whole thing. She told me about her background, how she got into the job, what it took, what all the agencies you got to go through, all this kind of stuff, everything. I was just so full of like, this is my future after she left. The cruise director comes past and I said to him, "Hey," whatever his name was, "Hey, I just was speaking to you, Vicky, cruise staff. She's amazing. How do I get this job? How do I do you one day? How do I be you?" And enter another individual in my life who told me, "You can't do it."
Can I just stop you there?
Go for
it. You need to have a little breather. I know that you're a professional how you speak, so you can be without water for the long time. But I need to have some genuine concern about your welfare. So you have to sip of water.
Thank you.
Okay, jokes on side. So there's a difference between you and everybody else. I presume that what you did, you're gonna do it. Before you start speaking, because not many people will come to somebody and say, "I wanted that job." They will say, "Where's the website I can apply?"
Yeah.
There's a difference. That's the courage. The courage, it's itself. It's an action taught in your brain. Not bravery. Bravery, it's something else. When you're in war and you are, you're facing death, set and death. That's a bravery, right? But courage, it's something. It's absenteeism of the stupidity, right? Because it's something you need to determine straight away. Will I want this or not? You say, "Yes, I want." And you went to the wiki, to that person, and then the third person told you,
"Oh, he came in
don't
and said,
cry for me,
you can't
Argentina."
Do it. You can't do it. He said,
What would somebody tell you first time the soil, you can't do it? Why is that?
I don't know. If it was perhaps he'd heard that story all the time. He was just one of those cruise directors who I ended up working with, because not all of them are created equal, as many people who've been in your audience would know. Was just overhearing that, bored of asking questions like that. Or perhaps it was genuinely like, "No, I'm going to shoot down the kid's dreams today." I don't know what it was. But at the end of the day, when I explained to him, "I know you got like no time, but like, I've been public speaking and I'm a recreational people, a referee, and like I really have a passion. How can I do it?" And it was just, "Nah, you got to have years of experience. You got to do this. You got to do that."
Can I defend him? It's a fear.
Sure.
You know why? Because when you see somebody who is, I don't know how old he was at stage, but he saw you won this. Maybe you reminded him he was that day, and he says, "Well, I'm on a sunset side, and this guy is going to take my position. So, yeah, you're right.
True,
Killing
though.
your dreams. Killing your dreams. Yeah.
True, yeah, absolutely. And
Dream killer. So please, yeah.
Sure, you're very correct about that. Yeah. And again, it was like, great. Thank you for being another person that has continued to add to that bucket of no to turn it into a yes. And so uni's wrapping up. I actually am a double degree major in marketing and philosophy with a history minor. And so as I'm doing from the University of Wollongong, so as I'm going along another pathway potentially in my life, it was like, okay, now it's do or die. Went on a cruise again at the 6 months before I joined cruise ships with Princess. So I went on another cruise with my family once again. And it was at this point in time, I said, no, this is it. I have to apply now. This is my time to shine. I must. If I don't, I'll regret it.
God, I love you, man. Seriously. the energy, despite all odds, I'm just writing down as you speak, right? So I can easily, reconnect myself when I'm writing the synopsis of this interview. You said how many people are bullying you, how many people told you no, they try to kill your dreams, and yet you are pushing yourself ahead.
I just think that...
How did you manage this? Not why. Nobody cares for why.
Yeah, sure.
But how? How did you done this? Tell me. Did you wake up in the morning and say, I'll go and gym, do 500 bench press?
Oh, if anyone knows me, they know I don't go to the gym.
I go to the gym. Okay, so... okay, meditation, the kumbaya dancing, holding hands, whatever, chasing unicorns, eating chocolate. Why? So how did you manage this?
I had some incredible inspiration in my life. I think at every juncture and turn, I had people who provided me the framework for inspiration and success. One of the two greatest people in my life that I ever met were actually teachers. One was my grade 6 teacher by the name of Mr. Rob Dixon. And another was John Field, my English teacher all the way from grade 7 to grade 12. He was also a philosophy major, philosophy professor, I should say, who inspired me to do philosophy in university. Both of them, in their own different ways, inspired me at unique junctures in my life. Literally, I'm crying in a puddle, distraught at the impact that my peers are bringing to me and in the classroom across multiple days. I'm a really resilient person, I'm a patient person, but I have my days where I broke down. And they sat with me. And instead of just going, oh, another kid that's upset, whatever, just go away. Here's a tissue, goodbye. Sat down with me multiple days, had every time in the world for me, and were able to give me little pieces and nuggets of advice. One time at the very end of my primary school years, very last few weeks, I'd always aspired to be the ducks of the school. They have this board out at Camden Primary School, very old school, one of the oldest schools in all of Australia, actually. Yeah. And they have this board. And it's a big old style board, with the brown, whatever, and the gold letters. Yeah. And I'd always said as a kid, I want to see my name on the board. I want to leave a legacy. I don't know why I was such a weak kid, but there you go. I want to see that my name on the board is the most outstanding student. And I did it. But here's the thing. When I just at the nexus point, just before the awards, they were being settled and the teachers were talking about who's getting the awards and so forth, I was getting a lot of flack from my fellow peers who were jealous that I was going to get the award. They eviscerated me one day in school, and he actually sat out with me. I'm crying. He's like, Nathan, I'm going to let you cry, but when you finish crying, I need you to not cry anymore, and I need to tell you something. I said, okay. He let me get it all out. He said, Nathan, I need you to imagine your life. This is Rob Dixon, by the way. He said, I need you to imagine your life as you're painting a canvas. It's an infinite canvas. Blank on one side because you haven't painted that picture yet, and all the rest of your life you've been painting it so far, and it's on the left. These little moments in your life like this is where someone has come along, and it's a big picture. He's come along and put a little dot, a little black dot in the center of the picture. Yeah. Now, if you focus on this, if you microscopically focus on this black dot, that's the picture, that's your lens on the picture. But if you actually, like you said, like a computer screen, if you zoom out, what are you going to see? Are you going to see the black dot that's in the center of your picture? Which there will be. Life is inevitable. You will have little black dots there. Or do you see the beautiful tapestry of your life with your friends, your family, the beautiful experiences, your loves, your interests, whatever else? All the stories you have to tell. Are you going to see that instead? And I say, well, I'd prefer to see that. And he says, yes. If you change your lens and don't zoom in on all these really negative moments in your life, that other people have beyond your own control put there. And instead focus on the things that you have painted, the beautiful moments you're happy with, and zoom out as much as you possibly can and see the beauty of your life as you're unfolding it. You'll be much happier from now on. And I have never forgotten that lesson. I've never stopped focusing on that.
What do you think? Why was his name Rob
Dixon.
Rob Dixon. What do you think? Why he spoke to you that way?
He really cared about my success.
Okay. What else?
He could see and verbalize this, that I was somebody that was different and yes, was cast aside socially in school, but also could see my academic and sort of social potential. And I really appreciated that because I valued his perspective in my life as well. Like as a student, right? Every teacher, I can imagine, I don't want to speak for them, but I can only imagine that every teacher would love to have a student who actually really cares about them as a human being. Because God forbid, particularly today, right? I mean, how teachers are treated. Like imagine having a student and a family as well. Yeah. My mum and dad revered him as well. To have a student who actually really cares about the stake of the future that they're wanting to impart upon. I think he could see that because he knew that I was going to listen and really absorb it all.
Can I share something with you?
Please.
Okay. So far in my interview with you, I see the man who's been in the receiving end. Do you understand? You've been receiving end by many people. So you have this gentleman who spoke to you, and maybe he recognized inside of you desire that one day you're going to become I'll say public speaker, right? Not just MC, just public speaker. Somebody who's going to be... He made a prophecy in his head about you that one day you're going to be somebody who's going to stand in front of the thousands of people, hundreds of people, and speak. You see, he was a teacher. He doesn't speak except to students. Students takes what they want and go walk away. I think you're 1 in 1,000 who remember conversing with him. Make sense? Now, secondly, you remind me of my son. My son was quite a unique child, you know what I mean? And he was having epilepsy for 12 years, and he was sort of falling, was being bullied and being, put in many, many bad different positions in life. And, as a father, it's difficult to accept these things. So I'm seeing some similar traits, right? But he was being as well spoken with a few teachers he's citing today, like yourself. Now, he told you something, you accepted, you saw it. Today, you are the very well-known MC. Today, you're very well-known a public speaker. Perhaps it's time for you to make it your first book.
Yeah, it's
Don't
funny.
laugh to me because I'm gonna jump with the table there.
No, I chuckle. I only chuckle because of only one thing. I know that as soon as my mum hears that, she's gonna be like, "I told you so." That's what I've been saying for years.
Because I think this is the most valuable lesson everybody can learn. If you truly believe that your only kid who suffer, now talk about just my son, or just that's me just flying the part of the equipment. My son on you, but I will say 90% of the kids are the bullied. By bullies, few of them, but they join the group to bully the weaker ones. In reality, may I ask you just now an even more personal question?
Sure.
Let's go say now that canvas, 2010, 12, when you finish, or when you are...
That would have been around that time he was talking to me. It was 2004.
Okay. Now, where are those little bullies in the life? Do you know? We don't need to name them, but
no, of course not. No.
Let me see. Tell me.
That one that I mentioned about that was the really good speaker and everything and all that. My main bully in primary school.
Where he's now?
As far as I know, is not of any place of note. As far as I know, yeah.
But what do you think? How he feels when he says you? I'm talking now on everybody's behalf. Everybody tried to diminish their dreams and they're bullying them. Learn from the Nathan lesson, guys. You're absolutely right with that canvas. This is what I like about you. So now, you left in tears the school, your name is there, and then your first job was paintball, but then how did you become now that guy on a boat?
So it was about
the guy on a boat who entertained everybody.
It was so surreal. Like honestly, it's such a surreal moment. So, and my mum actually reflected on this very recently. Please.
Hello, Mum.
Big support of me, obviously. Dad too, both of them amazing. But Mum has been there really well and truly for me, and it helped me a lot during the application process. So essentially, I'm staring down the barrel of the last 6 months of uni, and as well my last semester. I had a very easy semester because I planned out my double degree. So between that time, I was like, well, I better go either fork in the road, go start doing the marketing stuff and get internships and stuff, or apply for the job with Princess or with the cruise company. So I applied, and I applied a little too early in August, and I immediately got knocked back by an agency because it was just too early. I couldn't tell them when I was going to start. Okay, great, whatever. I've still got time. No worries. Dream's not over. Anyway, so
I just like it's like my dreams are over. Okay, so a little bit earlier. Like, so like that's what this world needs, Nathan. This is what the world needs. That smile. You know, I heard a tragical. Well, it's a statement being given that Robin Williams, the guy who killed himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said he was the guy who was suffered most. You know, he was so unhappy, but yet he entertained millions of people with smiling, you know what I mean? And now I'm seeing you that you're giving that smile to everybody. So, okay, a little bit too early.
No.
They told you. Go back line, okay? Then.
Look, I was at that point where I was like, okay, fine, that's fine. Just move on. Great. Keep doing my studies. Anywho, I get to October. And I applied.
You're impatient. I can see it.
It was September. I was honestly. I talked to my mum. I was like researching almost every day.
Yeah.
At the point where I know I had to so I knew the agency I needed to go through with. I knew exactly the pathway I was applying between Royal Caribbean and this agency in Brisbane that had access to Princess and Carnival. So I was like, okay, I know I need to wait a little bit longer. Anyway, October rolls around. I apply with the same agency again. They had another intake. Didn't hear anything. And I was like,
okay,
this is weird because I got an immediate response. It was a canned response, but I got an immediate response last time. This is very odd. So.
Did you put wrong email?
Well, it's a funny thing, right? So they had a Facebook authentication on there back in the day when that was more of a thing.
Okay,
now it's Google, right? Anyway, so I had forgotten. There was a Hotmail account that I barely used, but it was associated with my Facebook account. Long story short, I had this epiphany on a Friday night going, oh, that's right. There was a problem with the authentication, so I actually need to go. Oh my God, it was crazy. So I was like, oh, no, it's in the other one. So I quickly go into that email address that I never check. Email. Kid you not. Thank you for your application from the agency. We invite you to apply. We're very happy and pleased to see that you have applied. We invite you to apply. I run out of the room and I go, Mum. She's like, what's going on? Who's dying? Like, what's happening? And she goes, come. Seriously, come. I've got my little laptop here in my room. And I say, read this. And she reads it and she goes, Nathan, I love your energy, but they're just asking you to apply for the job. But I said, I know, but why would they ask this?
See, Mum doesn't understand this. Yeah, the parents don't understand this. Like, you know, I mean, like, I can relate to this one, even though I'm older, much more older, but I can relate. And did you apply? And then what?
So yes, I immediately go back into the portfolio, the back end there.
Yeah.
Went in, logged in, and I go, it's like, great, first step. Started applying, and they have this like 8-step process, and so eventually, boom. I had to do the interview, which is the big part of it. After you do like a psych eval and a questionnaire, whatever.
Yeah.
And I got behind a desk, got a suit on, it was a great interview, and then I get past the next step, and basically at that point it was like, yep, as long as you can prove that you can get the documents that we need, you've got the job. And I can tell you, when I got the job, I just posted about it recently, actually. It was kind of a real surreal moment.
So I didn't stalk you enough, you know what I mean, on all your social media, but I'll continue to see what you posted.
It's just very recently. No, that's okay. I don't expect you to have recalled it, but I posted about it recently because it was quite a really cool 9-year moment for me. Yeah. So basically, I just recently received an award through the National Award with the Australian Achiever Award process. And basically, it's excellence in customer service in the bridal services niche. Okay. And what was really cool was that because it's such a big award that they sent, it's really cool. I had to get it sent to my mum and dad's place. And so my household at home. And I thought, as I was like running out the door in my suit, ready to go to a wedding down in Barrel, I said, Mum, what would be really cool actually is because they need a photo of this for their socials and for their website. Yeah. How about I took a photo at the exact same place. I took a photo of myself in my suit the day that I found out that I was getting the job for Princess. And so I had it's an old photo of me with no beard or anything. Oh God. It was a good photo. Me and the cap.
You feel a little bit embarrassed?
Sorry?
You feel a little bit embarrassed now?
No, it's great. No.
I want to see that photo.
No, I've thankfully aged a little gracefully, I must admit. And I had a captain's hat on and I'm smiling. I was really happy. Like, I know every feeling that was going through my head taking that photo. Like, it's actually really emotional for me because it was the dream coming true. Even though I hadn't stepped on board a ship yet, I didn't know what the rest of the world took for me. I just knew that I was being given an opportunity to create the rest of my life with this. And something I've been dreaming about since the age of 14. And here I am now as a 22-year-old almost 21 at the time, about to step on board a cruise ship in a few months. Anyway, so I get onto the Grand Princess. I graduated December 15th, 2014. And 2 days later, I get the email to say you're going on the Grand Princess out of San Pedro, LA as a junior assistant cruise director. Fantastic. It's never been that far away from home before. It was a big, really emotional moment.
So you fly, so let us understand. People have this fancy dreaming about working on ships, you know what I mean? Ship doesn't come pick you up, you know, your home, you know what I mean?
No.
Here now in Sydney, you know. Like,
No hotel chauffeurs, you know.
So they give you the location.
Yes.
That's where you fly,
Yes.
obviously. They pay for ticket or?
Yes, they do. They also pay for part of your visa process to start off with, yeah.
Okay, so that's the part. So you fly from here to California.
Correct.
And
stay overnight.
Little 21, 22 years old, Nathan stands in front of the big, huge ship and junior assistant director, ceremony director, right?
Junior assistant cruise director, yeah. So I could been imagining this day for the whole of my life up to this point.
Did you get uniform?
Sorry?
Did you get uniform?
Yeah, so the whole day is very crazy. So when you first join a ship, you get, and you're a new joiner, it's funny, there's a new joiner look. You always know when someone's new to the company, even though I'd had the better benefit of actually being a guest. So at least I understood the environment of a cruise ship. What I did know, of course, was the crew areas, which is a whole other world, and there's a whole other, philosophy to it. Yeah. Anyway, immediately picked up by Paul Chalmers, who was my very first deputy cruise director, picks me up. And he says, right, Nathan, welcome to the team. It's going to be very quick for the next few hours. It's going to be a lot, but just stay with me. I got you. Takes me down. You go to the uniform stores. You get your uniform. You go back out. You get sent to your cabin. You get shown your roommate. You shake the hand. Then you go, right, okay, cool. They leave you with them for a bit. Then they tell you, you ask all the questions you need from that person. They say, we'll introduce you to this, that, whatever. You're immediately on. Even though you're new to the job, you don't get any we won't tell.
7 days like a probation.
No, no.
Let's be cruise.
You go, it's like boom, of course, depending on people's levels of experience and skill, there's, we will plan out whether or not what we put you in and what you'll be capable of. And certainly you don't get thrown completely in the deep end, but you put the uniform on. I remember walking around and saying hello to guests as I knew what the job would entail and wanting to get to know people. So proud, full of pride in my outfit. And I was just, people were like, so how long have you been a princess? This is my very first day. And they're like, congratulations. And I was just like, it was so good. End of the night, I get back into my lower bunk, lie down before I go to sleep thinking, I'm home. Done.
And so that's how comfortable you felt.
I felt like it was just where I needed to be.
This is what the dream was, yes.
And then begins a life of hustling. That first contract was 8 months. I actually hustled to stay longer than a regular contract. So I stayed 8 months away, which is very irregular, but I hustled because...
So 8 months on a ship, eh?
Yes, correct, yeah.
That's a long time.
It was a long time, and I did it on purpose. It's usually at 6, but I stayed extra longer because I wanted to convince the company that I had what it took to become an assistant cruise director, which is the next grade up. So I did actually get the promise of promotion following that through the help of my deputy cruise director. Met some great cruise directors I worked for, met some not so wonderful cruise directors, had some very tough team members who...
So what was your job encompassing, as an assistant cruise director?
Great question. So... part of the crew staff team is essentially you are the mini celebrities on board. Your job is to be the energy, vibe, personality, and drive every touch point that a guest experiences. May it be from trivia to game shows to sporting events to general hellos and goodbyes, greeting at the gangway to saying goodbye at the end, assisting with the gangway facilitations and getting people off the ship to on the ship, and essentially being a friendly face that encounters people at every point in turn. You are welcome to go anywhere throughout the ship. You're responsible for being visible. And throughout the night, sometimes if you didn't have an assigned activity, game show, or otherwise, you would just simply have the responsibility of going around and saying hello to people and starting conversations, being present, dance parties, line dance instructions, all sorts of things, being just that extra vibe to really kickstart every single moment. And so because of that, there's a lot on your shoulders. The moment you walk out of that cabin door, you're on. It is a mentality that I've never lost.
I need to stop you here.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one burning question.
Go for
inside on me. Okay.
Yeah.
If you are the face of the company, right?
Yeah.
Your dreams come true.
Mm-hmm.
But after all, you're not a robot. You're the human being but yet this energy comes out of you, like literally. I'm seriously, guys, say like it's like Vesuvio, you know what I mean? Like a volcano. Where do you taking from that energy, that happiness, you know what I mean, projecting on other people?
Yeah.
This is a genuine question, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't fake it. I interview a lot of people in my life, you know, not just podcasting. My job, my entire life was interrogations and investigations in the military and diplomacy. But I saw many different characters and profiles of people. But genuine people, being genuine, it's very, very, very rare. You are a genuine person. That's what I say to guys. So like, but being on a ship, you know, then extra 2 months and being that point of contact with a smile on the face.
Yeah.
You must have the, you know, your trials and tribulations. You must
Yeah,
have
of course.
the, you know, you must have the, you know, diarrhea, you know what I mean, the seasickness, you know what I mean, hungry, you know what I mean, somebody pissed you off for all these things, right?
Yeah.
Where that happiness and energy comes from you to transfer on other people. Even now, this very moment.
I can tell you what it is, and it applies to what I do as a job today as an MC. It applies to when I was on cruise ships. It applies to when I moved from crew staff to my fleet supervisor role in the corporate entertainment fleet team at Princess. This was the secret. This is what fuels me. It's me always remembering feeling like absolute crap as a kid. The way that people made me feel, the way that people told me no, the way that the worst elements of what people thought I should become, what they wanted me to feel about myself, every ounce of that, I have turned like a plant turning carbon dioxide into oxygen. I've determined that basically I want to take all that negativity and use it as a battery, as a resource to do two things. One, for myself, of course, it's important to obviously take care of myself, to continually impress and give tribute to the kid that I was, who was dealing with all of that, who I wish I could now just go back in time and say, it's going to be okay, mate, you're on the right track. So really give tribute to and be a testament to my younger self.
Yeah.
But two, for others, to be able to essentially make sure unequivocally that not a single other person that I come in contact with will, even in the moment that I have with them, can feel the way that I used to feel. I want them to feel literally the exact opposite of what I felt back when I was a kid. Because I feel that it's necessary to have happy moments in life. I feel it's necessary for people to be able to come onto a cruise, for instance. And I met people who were... particularly in America, because they don't have a very good holiday sort of break mentality. You know, you take a break, you get fired. It's awful. So essentially, I met people like...
Sorry, just laughing. We don't know these things. You see, you've been there, you travel.
Oh, I've lived there. I've literally lived in America. And don't get me wrong, like to my American brothers and sisters listening, like I love you all deeply, but there are some very big truths about... Australia has got its problems too, but there's some big truths about sort of social culture, like for instance, not being able to take work off easily, where I saw it plain and simple. I met people who were very pent up on the cruises that they went on because they were going on trips that they'd never been on a holiday in 10 years. Sad.
You know, I was thinking that's only in the movies, because that's what they say in the movies, like, you know, some couple on a ship or whatever, somebody approached them and said like, I hope you're enjoying it. It's like, this is our first holiday ever in life. I'm like,
it's true.
I was thinking it's just a movie, but the reality.
On Hollywood, look, there's a lot of things in Hollywood. Like I've been to Hollywood. There was a very first when I went to LA, I was very disappointed in Hollywood.
You know what? Can I just add on this one?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you come today. You know, seriously.
Oh, thank you.
No, honestly, I truly believe, you know, there's very difficult for anybody to impress me with their life. I come to these questions a little bit later, but I genuinely believe the world needs to hear your story, not just through me, but through everybody. For one simple reason, world becomes a different place. I never believe I'm going to witness this in my life again. I saw turmoils in communism, being in war and everything else. Now all of this is people become, sometimes I think I'm living in a Star Wars, in Anakin Skywalker Tatooine planet, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, everybody's just a saggy clothes, you know what I mean? Everything like, oh, kumbaya. But then it comes to Nathan. So Nathan, before we wind up the part one, okay, because this interview has 2 parts. Life on a ship.
Yeah.
What that looks like, life on a ship?
Oh,
Share with
wow.
us.
I love
When
this
you,
question
yeah,
so
when you
much.
encounter, let's go say, you encounter the happy people, happy couple, but then you encounter the people who on the ships, you know, what I mean, obviously they're not happy. And how did you, you know, manage to make people happy and the
Look, we're all human beings, right? So I met people who were, ready for anything. Like some of my biggest supporters now, and I love them to pieces. Like they follow all my content. They from abroad. I'll never see them again, most likely. But if they come to Australia, I'd love to catch up with them. I'll be there right there at the airport. Go, hey, good to see you again. But that's the thing, not all of them are like that, right? And so, I met people who came up to me and said, I've had the worst experience, I'm never coming back. And I used to love them when people used to tell me that. Well, two reasons. One, well, they've already decided that they're upset enough that they're never going to come back. So fine, there's not a lot I can do. But two, I'm like, well, I wasn't the person who did it, so okay, fine. I can sort of separate that. So I'd just be like, okay, well, sorry you feel that way, blah, blah, blah. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. I can connect you to the right person. But I used to love it. You know why? Statistically speaking, let's take the Grand Princess, for example. Max capacity is about 2,500 people. I was responsible for entertaining. My job description is entertaining all 2,500 people on
it
board.
is, but that's asking what your job encompasses. You say,
right.
What do I tell? I need to make you happy. It's like, well, that's a lot of people to make happy.
The lowest age you can have
You're
on
not
board.
the jar of Nutella, man. You can't make everybody happy, but you did.
No, but what I love was that when they clocked out like that, you know what I would say?
What?
Beautiful. Statistically, fractionally speaking, I now only need to take care of 2,499 people. So I would love to, I think a part of my psyche is I love to sort of twist it like that. It's like, great, you've clocked out. I can't do anything for you. I've got many other things I've got to do on board the ship. There are 2,499 other people potentially who want to have a good experience. So on your way, fantastic.
Yes.
And I do that with my job now. It's like the law of what I work on is you make 80% at least people happy and like you. The rest is a bonus. Of course, in my job, 95% I'm an overachiever, but certainly at least 80% of the audience should like you as an entertainer. If you're not getting those numbers, you really need to reconsider what you're doing, whether or not you need to readjust or simply maybe potentially leave the industry. Because there's not good numbers. I'm sorry.
I like it is on it.
If your exit interview is, 60% of people liked your performance, really think about your life choices. But that being said, there is life on board. Look, it is a wild tapestry of having to adjust to circumstances, being in a pressure cooker environment. You literally have no recourse to rewind. You have to go with the flow, so to speak. And every day comes with new challenges. It's no day is the same. Treating like every day's Groundhog Day is the worst for your mentality and psyche possible. There are trials you're dealing with, going through, say, problems with your roommate, having a really big night at the crew bar, and having to wake up the next morning, go out that cabin door and pretend like nothing that's going on. Yes, it seems a little inhuman because even things like your problems at home, yes, you're allowed to talk about these things, of course, and there are strategies and things on place to deal with it. But certainly, if you're bringing like a problem with your girlfriend, for instance, into the game show that you do because you can't separate those two, you're going to find your life on board very quickly, disembarked. And so it's going to be very challenging in order to be able to, so you have to be able to separate that. Compartmentalization is key. But that being said, the amount of beautiful moments I had, the amount of awesome people I met in my life, the amount of interactions, both crew and guests, being able to see the world, being able to have the opportunity, privilege, and honor of being able to be invited into people's, special journeys of bringing all their family. I met this couple who were together in my first year. I met this couple, random conversation, they're celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. I asked them, how did you meet? He told me that 50th. He was 50th.
Like 50. Half a century.
Yes.
My God.
And here's the crazy thing. This is what I love. The stories you meet with people. They said, they met 2 weeks before he was shipped off to the Korean War. He went through the war, came back, they wrote letters. He went away for 2 years or something. Came back, they got married a few days after when he came back home. And then 50 years since. Incredible.
Today terms, that is called insanity. Yes.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah,
I know. Trust me, I do a lot of weddings. I know.
That's what I know. So let's go try to guys. I want to say thank you, Nathan Cassar, for being the guest of the On Life, the Battlefield. This is the part one of interview with the Nathan. In this part, we just this segment we spoke about growing up and being bullied. having the dreams and people try to squash your dreams. But yet, you see, your dreams come true. And what Nathan, painted very nicely, imagine your life as a big canvas. And everything before was being painted. You can't change this. Zoom out, you're going to see how that all this negativity is actually are small dots in your life. But as Nathan says, you can still paint rest of your life. So it's you are who are in charge of your happiness, nobody else. So you choose what you're going to paint. But Nathan, so how long you on the ships and why did you left? Let's go.
Yeah.
This segment.
Yeah.
Wind down with that.
So I was
Is it something said? It's like
no.
If it is, I don't want to talk.
No. No, it's an interesting juncture in my life though, and it's the reason why it's literally the reason why I'm sitting here today with you.
Yes.
In the sense that my life was on a very different trajectory. I'd moved from the Princess, like the onboard teams, to I was invited to become one of the first fleet supervisors of entertainment experience in 2018. And that job entailed going all around the fleet, creating some of the biggest game shows that are still today I've set the legacy for. I trained cruise directors and crew staff across the entire ship's fleet. I also was responsible for lots of policies, procedures, and setting some things and standards and procedures that are still with Princess today. Great job, but obviously it helped me to really come into myself, because now I went from headline entertainment every single day to being responsible in a corporate America environment, which is brutal. Anyway, skip to 2020. I think we all know what happened, and so I was actually living in LA at the time.
That's where you are. Okay.
Yes. So because our head office at the time was in Santa Clarita, California. It's now moved to Florida. But essentially, I was there living and going through that experience of being in this, having my livelihood, my job, everything just completely dismantled and put on pause. It was a very difficult time in my life, I'm not going to lie. With the world telling you you're not essential, and also the world saying cruise ships are the nexus of the COVID disease.
That's correct. Just like you're lucky. There was a princess, I think
the Ruby Princess in Japan. Yes,
I was ready. I'm seriously about watching this on news. Said to myself, something is wrong with Australians, because I have feeling they're gonna crucify these people on the ship.
Yeah,
they're gonna burn them. On the crosses. Honestly, that was my feeling.
I had some dear friends on the Ruby Princess,
and I was like, but this is people just on a cruise. They didn't even know. They didn't plan that thing. So anyway, your life has been you're non-essential. You're not required anymore to nobody. Your dreams been literally paused. And then what you did?
So I had some extreme personal things happen to me around the beginning of 2021. So that meant that I had to come home. Mm-hmm. And when I came home, I didn't have, in January 2021, I didn't have work experience here. I had very little in my bank account remaining. I didn't have like tax. I was not even a tax, the ATO said I was a ghost, I hadn't, as in I wasn't a tax resident anymore because I hadn't been in the country for so long.
You are criminal.
No, I've paid everything.
Did you pay everything? Yes, okay.
I am not incriminating myself in the slightest. I have paid all my taxes.
Yeah.
In fact, I just cried at my recent tax this year. I was like,
sorry, I have no tissues now, but it's okay.
Oh, it was so bad.
ATO, he's come back.
Oh man, I can tell my tax guy had to give me a proper hug and say, I'm sorry, man, but you're making too much money. And I'm like, oh no, don't like it. Anyway, so it was very disillusioning. But the other thing too was because I'd been such a global citizen for so long, coming home and thinking, okay, do I go back to ship? So basically that meant the choice was wait and be patient and be prepared to go back when Australia, who was obviously lagging in the cruise industry and our international travel, I had to just wait extra longer than my colleagues had to. But the job was waiting there.
Because we were the safest country in the world.
Well, true, yes. Trust me, I was very happy to be back home, trust me. But here's the thing. Do I wait it out, stay at home? Mum and Dad were great. They, propped me up once more, and I was able to go back to my childhood home and, start to retick the gears again and get things moving. But do I do that for an unknown amount of time and then just go back and pretend like nothing ever happened? But B, that didn't really seem like the kind of person I am. I've always been someone that had a purpose and a goal, had to move forward. So one thing that I never would have been able to do if it wasn't for all of this fiasco was actually being at my brother's wedding and actually getting to MC the wedding. Now, the funny thing is my sister-in-law, Jade, love you to pieces, she actually resisted me being the MC to begin with. And I was like...
Sorry. Who chose you to be the MC on your brother's wedding?
Well, essentially, I said to my sister-in-law, Jade, Jade, you know that I'm the MC, right? You know that this has been a job that I've been doing for years and years and years, and I can make your wedding amazing. And she goes, I just don't know. I just don't know. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And so it's fine.
So answer is no.
Well, no. The answer... the answer. It's so funny you got this. I got to tell you a story about this button.
Yeah. Okay.
Brings up memories of my life.
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't know this. Good day. Okay.
Yeah, I'll finish this and I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Another great mentor in my life, actually. So it's really relevant. But yeah, so she's like, oh, no. I don't know. And I said, no, Jade, look, I am going to be the MC, full stop. Anyway, so as we're talking a few weeks before, I start kicking into it. I was like, Jade, I'm going to be this. Just accept it. It's going to be great. And she'll tell you now, like, if you hand over heart, she'll tell you that it was the best decision she ever made. And I mean that because that's her words, not mine. Yeah. Because, I knew what I was doing, but more importantly, a lot of things.
Of course, your brother. You experience.
Of course. Are you kidding me? There was no way I was just going to be one of his groomsmen. There was no way I was just going to be that. It would have killed me in my soul to watch someone else do that, knowing that I had entertained thousands of people all over the world just to come home to be relegated to groomsman status at my brother's wedding. It made no sense, but she concedes. She very humbly says it was the best decision she ever made. And I was just so grateful I could give that back to them. I actually didn't really get to know her a lot while I was abroad so often. So it was a really good chance for me to actually really give something to her as sort of like hey, here's me really showing that welcome to the family on my behalf. Yeah. But also from my brother, who we're very different people. He's a landscaper. He's not an academic like I was. He's great with his hands, really knowledgeable all that. I couldn't give two hoots about, mowing a lawn. That's why I've got an apartment on level 3 and I have no plants because I can't keep them alive.
I bet when your brother watches goes like, he's so right there. He is absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No, they know him. My whole family knows
what's your
it.
brother's name?
His name's Aaron.
Aaron. This is for you.
He knows it. Yeah. Like you look at his hand, you look at mine. Oh, that's funny. So I got my cat Sonny here.
I can see you.
There's a bit of a battle wound between me and my dearly beloved cat Sonny.
Look, he's infected. You want me to call?
No, it's not. I promise. I got tea tree on it straight away. I was like, no, I'm not gonna go down with my cat. No, look. If you look at my hands, very soft. His hands, very rough. Very different people. But I loved and really appreciated that I could give that to him and to her and to my family. And a lot of people who I met on the night were a lot of her family who I'd never met before because I've been away for so long. And so I'm getting people coming up. I basically had 60% of the audience was basically a cold audience, just like I have now, except it's almost 100. Yeah. And so it was a really great test to see whether or not I really had lost my chops.
How did it went?
It went amazing. It went amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So your brother's wedding, your sister-in-law, she was a little bit reluctant, but she says it was the best job. Ladies and gentlemen, we covered another episode right here. Nathan, Cassar, and Mario in podcast studio live to Butterfield in secret location. So we're going to come with more. Thank you for tuning